If that machine hurts someone after he signs that paper, whose name will be on it? The floor goes still. Machines keep running, but nobody moves. Russ Hale turns from the man he'd been screaming at, clipboard still gripped in one fist, and stares at the woman who just said it. Ava Bennett wasn't the kind of person who raised her voice on this floor. Everyone knew that, which is exactly why the silence now feels so loud. Near the loading dock, a man in a gray work shirt stands with his hands in his pockets, watching, not moving to stop it, not moving at all. The camera holds on his face 1 second too long. Before we find out what happens next, this is Echo Tales by Ken, where the quiet ones are never as powerless as they look. Drop a comment and tell me where in the world you're watching from tonight. Monday morning, the Kessler order sheet went up on the board outside the break room. Biggest contract in Ashford Manufacturing's history. 12,000 units, 6-week deadline. By Tuesday, the shift horn that used to sound at 4 was sounding at 4:15. By Wednesday, nobody was asking why anymore. Ava clocked in at station 4. Same as always. 6 years on this line, and she could run a half asleep. Except this week, half asleep wasn't an option. The line moved faster. The floor got louder, and Hale walked it twice as often, clipboard in hand, counting. "Pick it up for," he called out, not slowing down. Kessler doesn't wait. She didn't answer. She picked it up. Across the floor, a new face moved between machines, mid-50s, gray shirt. Boots already scuffed like he'd worn them somewhere before this. Someone said head office. Send him down once the contract landed. Nobody asked twice. He carried crates. He watched the line. He said almost nothing. Tuesday afternoon, Marcus from the loading dock got pulled aside for running a pallet through slower than Hale wanted. "You've got a birthday party Saturday, don't you?" Hale said. It wasn't a question. Kessler doesn't know that. Kessler doesn't care. "I wasn't planning on missing it," Marcus said. "Plan again." Marcus didn't argue. Nobody argued with Hale that week. It wasn't worth what it cost. Thursday, Daniel Ruiz found the seal. He'd been checking the number 2, stamping pressed away. He checked everything twice out of habit, not because anyone told him to. The pressure seal wasn't holding right. Not failed yet. Close. He wrote it up and brought it straight to Hale. "Seal on the 2 press is going," Daniel said. "I'd want it down before next shift." Hale didn't look up from the clipboard. "Down for how long?" "Hour. Maybe 2. "We don't have an hour." Hale finally looked at him. "You know what an hour costs us this week?" "I know what it costs if it fails mid-run." Hale held out a sign-off sheet. "Then sign it as passed, and we'll flag it for next week." Daniel didn't take the pen right away. "Daniel." Hale's voice dropped, flat and final. "Sign it." 20 feet away, the new hire was stacking crates that didn't need stacking. Close enough to hear every word. He didn't look up. He just kept working. Daniel signed. His hand didn't move quite right doing it. That evening, walking to the lot, he said the only thing about it he'd say out loud all week. 31 years I've worked here. He wasn't looking at Ava when he said it. "This is the first time I've been afraid to tell the truth." She didn't have anything to say back. She just walked beside him the rest of the way, past the loading dock, past the quiet man locking up a crate cart, watching them go without a word. Friday morning, the seal held. Barely. Ava heard it before she saw it. A knock in the rhythm of the number 2 press that hadn't been there Thursday. Daniel was already there, one hand flat against the machine, housing like he could feel the problem through the metal. He caught her eye and shook his head once. "Not now. Not here. You're new," Ava said to quiet man at lunch, mostly to fill the silence. "Where'd they pull you from?" "Head office," he said. "They send us down when a big contract lands. Make sure nothing slows the line. Must be strange. Watching all day instead of doing anything." He almost smiled. "You'd be surprised what you catch. Just watching." She let it go. People said stranger things than that when they were trying to make small talk with someone they just met. By Friday afternoon, Hale had the whole floor on a mandatory Saturday shift. Nobody had been asked. It went up on the board like a fact, not a request. "We agreed to the overtime clause when we signed on," Hale said, when Marcus tried to push back again. "Read your contract. It's my daughter's birthday. Kessler's deadline doesn't care whose birthday it is." Marcus showed up Saturday. Everyone did. Sunday, the seal failed for real. Not catastrophically. Just enough to jam the line for 40 minutes and put Ashford 6 hours further behind on Kessler. Hale stormed the floor, looking for someone to blame, before the dust from the jam had even settled. He found Daniel first. "You signed this as passed," Hale said, holding up the sheet from Thursday. "Pass. You told me to sign it. I told you to flag it. You signed it as passed." His voice was rising now, loud enough that the whole floor had stopped pretending to work. "Do you have any idea what 40 minutes just cost us?" Daniel didn't answer. There wasn't an answer that would satisfy him. "Maybe I made a mistake keeping someone on this floor who can't tell fixed from flagged," Hale said. 31 years, and you can't read your own signature." The floor stayed silent. Nobody moved to help him. Nobody moved at all. That's when Ava stepped forward. "If that machine hurts someone after he signs that paper," she said, "whose name will be on it?" Hale turned from Daniel and looked at her like he was seeing her for the first time in 6 years. "Excuse me? You heard me." Her voice wasn't loud. "It didn't need to be. He told you the seal wasn't right. You told him to sign it anyway. If it fails and someone's standing there when it does, whose name is on that sheet? This isn't your station, Bennett. It's not his fault either. You made him choose between his job and doing it right. That's not a mistake he made. That's one you made. You want to keep talking or you want to keep your job?" 20 feet away, the quiet man had stopped whatever he'd been pretending to do. He wasn't pretending anymore. He was just watching, hands loose at his sides, saying nothing. This is the moment from the beginning, the one where the floor went silent and nobody moved. Except now you know why. "I'm not signing anything," Ava said, "and I'm not standing here watching him get blamed for something you did." "Then you're done," Hale said. "Clock out. Don't come back Monday." Nobody spoke. Marcus looked at the floor. Daniel opened his mouth like he wanted to argue, and Ava shook her head at him, once, the same way he'd shaken his head at her Friday morning. "Not now. Not here." Ava pulled off her gloves, set them on the console, and walked toward the lockers without another word. She didn't look back at Hale. She didn't notice, walking out, that the quiet man had already slipped toward the office corridor, moving faster than anyone on that floor had seen him move all week. If you've ever watched someone tell the truth and pay for it anyway, hit subscribe, because Echo Tales by Ken is full of stories like this one, and the ending is never what you'd expect. What would you have done in Ava's position? Let me know in the comments. The rest of Saturday's shift finished in near silence. By the time the horn sounded, word had already gone around the whole floor. Bennett got fired for running her mouth at Hale. Nobody said whether they thought she was right. Monday morning, Ava didn't come in. Her badge didn't even register at the door. Hale had pulled her access before the weekend was over. What she didn't know yet was that the man in the gray work shirt hadn't clocked in that Monday either. He was 3 floors up in a glass-walled office that had sat empty for years, on the phone with someone in legal, asking questions about a name he'd written down 3 separate times that week. Ava spent that week doing the things people do when they don't know what else to do. She updated her resume. She didn't send it anywhere. She sat with the math of 6 years of savings against however long it took to find something else, and the math didn't come out anywhere close to comfortable. Marcus called her Tuesday night. "Floor's not the same without you," he said. "Hale's been worse than usual. Nobody's talking much." "Tell Daniel I'm okay," she said, even though she wasn't entirely sure that was true. "He's not doing great either. Keep saying it should have been him that got walked out, not you." Wednesday, a woman from the temp agency Ava had used years ago called about a warehouse posting 2 towns over lower pay, no benefits for the first 90 days. Ava said she'd think about it. She didn't think there was much to think about. Thursday, she almost called Ashford's HR line just to ask if there was any point appealing. She got as far as dialing before she hung up. She already knew what they'd say. Thursday evening, a call came in from an unknown number. She almost didn't pick up. "Ms. Bennett," a voice said, "my name is Walter Kessler. I need about 20 minutes of your time, if you're willing to give it." She recognized the last name before she recognized anything else. "I think you have the wrong person," she said. "I don't think I do," he said. "I was on your floor Saturday. Gray shirt, I was sweeping a section that didn't need it. She sat down. He told her the rest plainly, without making it sound bigger than it was. He'd come to Ashford himself after a handful of complaints reached his office about how the plant was handling the new deadline. Nothing specific. Just enough to make him want to see it firsthand, instead of reading about it in a report. He hadn't gone in with answers. He'd gone in to watch, because watching told him more than any file could. He'd seen Daniel get pushed into signing something he didn't believe. He'd seen Hale threaten a man's job over an hour downtime. And Saturday, he'd seen a woman who didn't work in management, didn't have to say anything at all, choose to anyway, and lose her job for it in under 2 minutes. I don't have all of it figured out, he said. I only know what I watched happen in front of me, but what I watched was enough. Friday, the whole floor was called in for an all-staff meeting. The first one in anyone's memory that wasn't about quotas. Walter Kessler stood at the front, out-of-work shirt now, in a suit that made half the room go quiet before he'd said a word. Most of you knew me this week as the new guy from head office, he said. I'm not from head office. This is my company. He didn't raise his voice once. He didn't need to. I came down here to see how this floor runs when nobody thinks anyone's watching. I saw a foreman who cares more about an hour downtime than the people running his line. I saw a man with 31 years of loyalty bullied into signing his name to something he knew was wrong. And I saw the only person on this floor with the nerve to say so out loud, get fired for it in under 2 minutes. He turned to Hale. You're done here. Effective today. Hale opened his mouth. Nothing came out. He walked off the floor without another word. And nobody watched him go. Kessler turned to Daniel. 31 years. And I understand you were afraid to tell the truth for the first time last week. Daniel nodded, throat tight. Today's the first day you don't have to be. Kessler looked toward the back of the room next, where Marcus stood near the loading dock doors. I heard about a birthday you missed, he said. That's on this company, not on you. It won't happen again while I'm paying attention. Marcus didn't know what to say to that either. Nobody on the floor had ever heard an apology from the front of that room before. Then Kessler found Ava, still in her coat. Badge reactivated that morning without explanation. Ms. Bennett, he said, you don't work for a foreman anymore. If this floor were yours to run, really yours, what's the first thing you'd change? The whole room turned toward her. She thought about it for a second. 6 days of sitting with what it cost her to say one true sentence out loud. I'd make sure nobody on this floor was ever afraid to say what you just watched me say. And I'd want people to believe that saying it wouldn't cost them everything the way it almost cost me. Kessler nodded slowly. Then start there. It's yours. She didn't say yes right away. It surprised her how hard the offer was to just accept after a week spent bracing for the opposite. I don't know the first thing about running a floor, she finally said. You knew the first thing about running it honestly, Kessler said. The rest is a title. The floor was quiet again, but it was a different kind of quiet this time. 6 months later, Ava still worked station for some mornings, out of habit more than necessity, when a maintenance report came across her desk, flagging a problem on the number 2 press. She didn't hesitate over it the way people once had to. The line stopped. No arguments. No one asking what an hour would cost. Daniel still checked everything twice. He didn't have to explain why anymore. If this story hit you the way it hit us to write it, don't forget to subscribe and go watch The Driver Who Was Never Supposed to Be Noticed, because if you liked how quiet strength went out here, that one's gonna stay with you too.